teach a EAL class, and my co-teacher and I decided we need to create some sort of a writing unit in which we could ensure we engage the higher students who really were ready to go to the next level, and but there were still some first and second year EAL students who needed some direct instruction. So we created this writing progression, and we met before the unit, and we had some conversations about what our different groups of kids needed, and then we kind of looked at what the baseline level was. So if you look at this piece right here, you'll see the writing progression that goes through. A level 4 would be kind of what would be the grade level expectations at this point. And we also didn't want to single kids out as, the red birds and the blue birds and the high flyers and the kids who were struggling. So we had everyone start at the same place, and every day we gave a new set of instructions. And you couldn't really pass and go to the next level until you satisfied the requirements of the previous level. So this way we're able to do a lot of basic vocabulary lessons. I'm sorry, not vocabulary, but basic grammar lessons. Okay, so the way this works was we kind of talked to the kids about level 1 and 2 are kind of your beginning writing. That's when your level 1 would be just kind of creating pictures and adding words to it with a lot of mistakes, and then level 2 would be you actually have words and sentences, but there's no organizational structure. And we told the kids they're beyond that they need to start off with this kind of arbitrary level 3 we created. So if you look through this, it goes through different progressions, and really this is a 5-sentence paragraph, and then this one is a 5-sentence paragraph, exactly same cut and paste, and it just adds a few more details. You see the French government was bankrupt. Now it says first, the French government was bankrupt due to money spent in the American Revolution. And for each of this, we had all over the walls, we had different sentence styles and way to add on to sentences, whether you add transitional phrases. But we try not to overwhelm them, so we just did a little bit each day. And so this was day 1, was the 5-sentence, it was this level 3, then day 2, then day 3, then day 4, and then day 5. So you look at by day 5, their expository writing is embedding quotes, they're doing research, because I do have students who are writing at a collegiate level, and I have students who are writing at what you would consider a 3rd grade level, which is right around here. So then they were given their task, and we then progressed through each group, and the students, the first time they did it, they worked in groups of 3. And this was probably the most effective day. It was helpful that we had 2 of us in the room, because one of us was on the board. And what would happen was we were able to walk around the room, and as soon as we found any mistake at all, just in this level 3, we'd write it up on the board. And these are we'd write down areas for consideration. And so my partner and I, we just had a ton of things, such as how to use the passive verbs of was treated, and we talked about punctuation of do you put commas at every location. And the kids kind of just took this format and they copied it. We looked at some of the basic spelling mistakes kids were making, the there. And this was just all in the back of the board. By the time we were done with the first day, we'd stopped the kids so much over a half-an-hour period that we had about 45 different things to look at on the board. And so we just they'd write, they'd stop. And again, I said they're working in groups of 3. And one way that was effective is we had each student have hold a laptop. And there's only one laptop, and they would just pass from person to person, each person writing for 5 minutes. So they were telling each other what to write, and they're making so first they would say we need to have a topic sentence, and they would argue about what their topic sentence was, and then they would write down their first sentence. So even our students who and we did have them heterogeneously grouped. So our first year EAL students are being kind of told what to write, and they did this as a whole group. So that's the first day they did that, and some of them got all the way up to level 5. Now we didn't really teach level 5 day 1. They just had this kind of guiding sheet. So the first day was just a group day again, and they saw how far they could get on this progression. And in about a half an hour, if you got to level 5, that'd be impressive. But again, they would just do this, and once they wrote the first paragraph, they could move on to the next level once they've satisfied all the requirements, which was topic sentence, 3 different points, conclusion, and they had 2 or fewer conventional errors. And one of the things this did was, because we're running around the room, I have 24 kids, so 8 groups of 3, and as we're running around the room, checking the kids off, there's a cue that starts. And so the kids are raising their hands, and we basically said if you have 2 or more mistakes, then we're going to put you into the queue before we check you off again. So that was an incentive for the kids to check and double check and recheck their work and ask for peers from other groups to check their work. And so eventually they were fixing a lot of their mistakes. Okay, so that's day 1 group. How far can you get? Day 2, I then would teach explicitly the level 4 skills, like what kind of specific examples do you add? And then level 5, I explain you now in a secondary sentence that supports each. And each day we added this on. So they had about half an hour of writing each day, and this is all expository writing. It's all, they would do, we had done some, it was a literature, history, interdisciplinary unit. So they had a bunch of historical facts already that they had taken notes on. So they're taking these and transferring them into a writing piece. So let me just kind of show you one of the students' pieces. This is on day 4. Okay, let me find, this person's was on gun control. Okay, and this is one of my stronger students. You can see this, we had talked about starting sentences in different ways other than just noun, article noun. And so this person would start off level 5, then they would copy and paste it, and they would have it checked off. And within their half an hour period, they got all the way to this phase right here. So that's what a student was able to do after day 4. Here's another student. They had the topic of obesity, and so that's one of the historical topics they were researching. It was actually a current events issue. And so it starts off really, obesity is one of the most damaging diseases. First, it causes people to be unhealthy. Secondly, parents end up inadvertently raising their children to be obese as well. And not all these sentences make a ton of sense, but they were, but I was just, right now we're just mostly working on organization and format. Now, a couple notes on what was happening in the class. Once we had the 2 of us in the room, we then actually asked for a third teacher that was free, because we had 24 kids, asking for our assistance at different times. So we had another teacher nearby who was able to come in for that half an hour block and actually work with us. And so we're kind of running around the room, and a kid would want us to check off. We'd quickly mark if they had 2 or less mistakes, and then if we did, they'd move on. And the great thing was the kids started getting really excited about passing through the levels. I didn't realize the competitive piece would kind of take over. But at the same time, the kids that were struggling, they were still working on this level 3 every day. All the students got to level 4. Not all students passed level 4, but it's something that was extremely successful, and we'll definitely do it again. Let me see if I can find one more from a student. The student researched North Korea. Before resolving the conflict with North Korea, the world needs to understand North Korea's nuclear technology, other countries' reactions, and why North Korea wants an ICBM. Now again, this would have been their final, this would have been their version after they made some editing. There were some grammar mistakes earlier on. And I did use the comment section on Google. So I would, if you can see right here, I'll show you in a moment. I would use the comments section on the right, and I would also highlight words. So by the day 3 and 4, I actually wasn't telling them what they did wrong. I would just go through the highlighter and highlight what they'd made a mistake on and they needed to fix it. And so earlier in the week, I was telling them what actually was a mistake, and by the end of the week, I was just highlighting the mistake, because the student was at like a level 6, so they'd be expected to be able to not have these kind of grammatical and mechanical mistakes. So that's what I did. Worked really well. We met afterwards, and as a team, and the 2 of us talked about what we would do differently. I think we would probably let the EL students, even though this was an in-class assessment, the main thing was we would let them prepare an outline or something at home first, and then come into class, because they ended up doing outlines in class, and there was a time issue. So I think that was a piece, so that they wouldn't be stressed for time. And secondly, I might actually scaffold it differently, where I give them an outline already, and I actually put in exactly what the different pieces of facts should be, and then they could put them in on their own. So there we are. That's it.